Thanks for tuning in to the Charles Novell School of Music podcast, The Best Day Yet. Here you'll find tips, insight, and information to help your music and your ministry succeed. Whether you're a singer, a musician, or a songwriter, we want to help you where you are, but we also want to help you get to where you want to go. We believe that our talents are God's gift to us, but what we do with those are our gift back to God. Yesterday's information is important, but what we can learn today will make this the best day yet. Hey everybody, Rob Novell here with the CNS podcast, The Best Day Yet. Hope this finds you doing well today. And, I love to say this because it's valuable to me. Thank you for tuning in because your time is very valuable. And I appreciate you tuning into these each week. And man, I love the feedback I'm getting. This is just another way the Charles Novell School of Music can come in and try to speak into your life, your music, and your ministry and encourage you just to be the best that you can be. I believe, again, that our talents are God's gift to us, but what we do with them, that's our gift back to Him. And man, speaking of gifts, I'm so excited about our guest today because I just, in full accountability, I just told him offline before we started recording. We have with us today what I consider to be the best tenor singer ever to take a stage, ever to hold a microphone, ever to climb on a bus, in all of gospel music. And that is Danny Funderburk. Danny, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate it.
Oh, Rob, I tell you what, you've just made my day the best day yet. Thank you for those kind words, Rob. And
well, listen,
you know how we feel about you guys, and we love y'all.
I mean it, Danny. I'll never forget the first time I met you in person. This was late 80s. I had long hair because I was product of the 80s. I was in a contemporary Christian band at the time, but my dad, Bill Dykes, Tank Tackett, and Elliot McCoy had a group called Chariot.
Oh, yeah, I remember them.
They opened for the Cathedrals at Whiting Auditorium in Flint, Michigan. And I played bass with them that night. And that's the first time that I got to meet you. And I was so excited because, listen, I loved the Kirk years and all, even back Bobby Clark. Bobby's been a teacher in school.
Exactly.
So I always loved those lineups. But man, when you joined that group, the bar, I think George and Glenn had to weld a new notch at the top to hold the bar. Because the sound it just went through the roof. So you'd
keep talking.
You'd become my favorite tenor, and then I get to meet you, and you said something to me hilarious that night. It was afterwards, and we were all tearing down, and I walked up to you because I wanted to meet you. And this is what was funny because I mentioned I had all that hair. You said, I said, man, it's an honor to meet you. I love your singing. You're like, well, thank you. That means a lot. And here's what you said to me.
What did I say, Rob?
You said, I'm glad you came up and introduced yourself because all night I've been wondering, were you a guy or were you a girl? With all the hair I had. So that's
well, listen, if you'd had that facial hair back then, I would have known.
You know what? Exactly. So shortly after that, Danny, I did grow a mustache because I kept going up to the counter at McDonald's or the bank, and the first words out of their mouth were, "May I take your order, ma'am?"
Yes, ma'am. Can I
help you, ma'am? So that was shortly after you said that. So I grew a mustache. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You got saved, got your hair cut.
Got saved, got my hair cut, and then I joined your group. About 3 months after I cut all that hair off, I ended up in perfect heart. Jeff called. He said, "You got a haircut yet?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, I got a position for you."
That sounded like Jeff. He was in charge of the band, so he was making the calls, and so that was him. That wasn't me that suggested that.
I got to be part of Heartburn, and Danny, those almost 4 years for me were amazing. And not only then, the first couple nights again, Danny, I stood back there behind you, looking and going, that's Danny Funderburk, and I'm standing here. And that's Danny. But night after night, you would bless me. And and I've told you this numerous times, that my favorite, a lot of, just the group had a lot of great songs, but we didn't do it every night. But when we would do Whiter Than Snow,
Wow.
one of my favorite songs, penned by your dad.
Right. My dad, he wrote that in the worst time of his life. And that's where the second verse came from. So, it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, whatever the case may be. The most important thing in our life is, does he know us by our name? And does he know us? And we can know him, but does he know us? And so that's that's what Dad said. I may not have much money or this world's noted fame, but there's one thing for certain: Jesus knows me by my name. And that's what it's all about, Rob.
Exactly. Danny, 30 minutes ago, I just got off the phone with a student at the school. She'll be there this summer. And her daughter's been going through a lot. And I've been praying with her and just praying for her daughter and encouraging her. And
yes,
it's a health thing, and it looks bleak right now. However, her daughter went to her last week and said, "Mom, I'm supposed to go to church with you on Sunday." She went to church and didn't even wait to the end of the service. She got in the middle. She's like, "Mom, I got to go down." And she went down. She gave her heart to the Lord. And so I told her mother on the phone 30 minutes ago, I said, "You know what? It's a process. And whatever God wants to do from here, the bottom line is, if he knows her name now and she has surrendered to him, then, everything else can fall into place." So
that's it, buddy.
That's what it's about. But I love doing that song night after night after night. And
it was a powerful song.
Oh, it was.
I still got a lot of requests for it. Matter of fact, Shelley, she loves that song, and another song that Dad wrote, Since the Day I Believe. So I've tried to do it, but I'm not as young as I used to be. But God still bless it.
You know what, Danny? Last time I heard you sing, I looked around and the paint was peeling off the walls. You can still do it. You can flat do it. So, Perfect Heart during those years came by the school, and then even after Perfect Heart, you were coming and teaching for us, and it's been a while, but I am so excited that you're going to be with us.
Well, I am too, Rob.
At CNS 23. You'll be with us all day on Tuesday, teaching in classes, and then giving us a concert that night. And I'm super, super excited. So first off, thank you for agreeing to come and be part of the school this year.
You're so welcome, Rob.
It's an honor to have you. We're going to have fun at 1:00 on Tuesday. I've got you there, and Michael Booth is there the same day. And we're going to do a little class and
glory
together at 1:00. So think about it. We're going to have Danny Funderburk and Michael Booth. Between the two of you, you may hold the record for awards and nominations and all of that over the years when you combine the two of you. So it's going to be a fun day. I know so many students are excited that you're coming. I'm super excited that you're coming. So thank you for that.
About being there. Yeah, you're so welcome. Yeah, Michael's awards is probably a lot more polished than mine. Mine probably got rust and dust on them. Now it's been so long ago.
Hey, top shelf, middle shelf, bottom shelf. You've got more to put on shelves than I do, so it doesn't matter. In fact, over here, we're full disclosure. This is just audio, but Danny and I are videoing through Zoom right now. This bookcase back here, Danny, is my wall of shame. There's all my Perfect Heart stuff is back there on display.
That's Wall of Fame, not Wall of Shame.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Wall of Shame? I meant Wall of Fame.
That's
I've got all that back there, and nominations.
She won't do.
The Gospel Voice Sunrise Award up there, and
there you go. I see it.
So
it looks like the Diamond Awards.
Yep. So listen, again, excited about you being with us at the school, but even more than that, man, I want you to take a little bit of time and tell the listeners what Danny Funderburk is doing these days. And I'm excited, Danny, because social media allows us to stalk people without getting restraining orders put on us. lets us follow people, and
Yeah.
so, man, I'm watching and I'm seeing and I'm so excited. It looks like you're very busy.
Well, yeah, and I thank God first, but then I thank God for my wife because she really has been my helpmate and done so much for me. Um, at one time, Rob, I'd messed my life up, and I was ready to give up and just hang it up and just take care of my mom and not worry about singing anymore, doing anything. But when I tried to do that, it was just something missing. And I think it was the fact that, I know I'm not perfect. And thank God we can be forgiven and we can move on. But, the ministry right now, I don't know. It's kind of like this. God has taken us in a direction that I feel like we definitely need to go. But sometimes we'll get to a T in the road, Rob, and it's like the Lord's pulling us to the right, but the devil said, no, you need to turn left. You don't, because there's some good things. And the devil himself does not like to see God's children being blessed and bless other people. Right. And so we understand that, but we're not going to give in. We're not going to give up. There's a lot of times, a lot of days that Shelley and I probably just like to just hang our head and just go home and call it quits. But then something good happens, like this past Sunday morning at one of the services in Texarkana. It's a very small church, very missionary minded. They feed, they clothe, they take care of the community. They're the only church in that community, probably within 10 blocks, that takes care of the needy. And like I said, they don't have a lot, but yet they're offering a lot to their people there. And the response has just been unbelievable. Sunday morning was just a great example of how a congregation, no matter what background, and you understand what I'm talking about, they come from alcohol, drugs, you name it, but the Lord has changed their hearts and their lives, and they've all come together. They're very equally yoked, and they come to have church. And to me, that's what church is all about.
Absolutely.
We've talked about it before, and Shelley said this, and it's one of those things that, you know how it is. You say something on Facebook and you mean well, but a comment was made, and Shelley said, "You know what? Well, a church is not a hotel for the saints; it's a hospital for the sin sick."
Absolutely.
And you would not believe the backlash that we got from her making that comment.
Wow.
Because people they're missing the point. Why do we have people coming to God's house, some of these big mega churches, and they feel like, okay, feed me and that's all I want, but then they don't carry it out the doors. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No,
maybe
Danny,
wrong.
You're right. We in some circles we've turned it into an hour pep rally, where we come in and we fluff them up, but they, you know what, they don't leave any differently than they walked in.
Yeah, I know, and so I'm not like that. You know me,
right.
And I get accused of wanting to preach a little bit and instead of sing, and I just can't. I want people to know my heart, where I come from,
right,
and that way God can get all the glory. And for these I call them young people, these people that are coming to the school. One of the main questions I always got asked said, "Why did you want to sing?" And I said, "Well, I never thought I had talent. I never looked at myself as a singer. I just looked at myself as a servant, and all I wanted to do is what God would have me to do, and try to do it to the best of my ability."
Right.
I don't like tooting my own horn. God has just blessed us. He's blessed me beyond measure when I really didn't need to be blessed. And I know that might sound hard, but I know there's some things I've done in my life, Rob, that I'll always regret.
Sure.
But there's one thing that we can hold on to, is that not only he forgives us, but he forgets. And this is the main thing, I think, in anybody's life as a Christian. The old devil will try to bring up your past every day of your life, so he can rob you of your joy. Right. And this is not what it's all, but that's what he does. That's what he's good at. And so we're trying to go in the right direction. We're trying to be patient. We're trying to follow the Holy Spirit wherever He takes us. And we're seeing a lot of great services. And then sometimes, you've been out there, sometimes it feels like, well, they just did not want to receive it, or they did not accept it in the way that we were trying to give it. But then all it takes is one person to come by the table and say, can I hug your neck? Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for being here, and thank you for encouraging me. And so you never know the lives that we're touching. No, and this is why it's so important to have a school like this, so that we can help others to realize that it's more than a song. And this is why I believe God's got us right where we're at. I'm almost 70 years old, Rob. And I never dreamed that I would be as busy as I am right now. And the miles are getting long. The days are getting rough sometimes. But come time to walk out there and tell people that Jesus loves you, it just, all that tiredness, all that aching, it just goes away. And God will just hold it back for an hour and a half. Wow. And then I go back to the table and I'm like, oh, Lord, I'm so tired. But you know what? God gets the glory. Absolutely. And so that's what it's all about, right?
Well, and here's Danny, here's the reason. And I know I had the privilege of knowing and meeting your mom and dad, and was around them. And when I've been around them, as I've thought back over those times, I wish it would have been a lot more. But I know your dad spoken to you like my dad did. I remember my dad saying, Robbie, just be obedient.
Right.
And you know what? That is so true. And that holds the key, because everything I hear you saying, Isaiah 1:19-20 says, if you're willing and obedient, you'll eat from the best of the land. And you know what? On those days, I'm going to speak on, as weird as this is, but you know me, I'm weird. On Friday of the school, the last day of the school, I'm going to do devotions, and the title is Monday Mentality. And I'm doing that on purpose on Friday.
Right.
I went to a conference, and this pastor was talking, in ministry, the Monday mentality is everybody wants to quit on Mondays. Exactly. Everybody wants to give up on Monday.
Yeah.
And purposely, this pastor that was speaking, their church, their staff wide, their off day is Monday.
Yeah.
And his logic was, by the time they can get back to the office to hand in the resignation letter, 24 hours have passed. And by Tuesday morning, they're good. They're back on the train. But listen, exactly. You're doing what you're doing at the level you're still doing it, Danny, because through those moments you've pushed through and you've realized, there's a call on your life. So it's bigger than Danny making the decision to stop, because Danny didn't make the decision to start. It was God that said, Danny, I need you. Yeah. I've given you a gift that no one else has, and I need to use that. So as my dad told me, Robbie, until he tells you, my dad had this wing walker philosophy. Do you remember the old biplanes and the guys that would walk across the wing? He would say, Robbie, the wing walker philosophy. And when he would say it, I knew what he meant. That wing walker would not transition to the other wing. He wouldn't let go of the wing he was on until he was firmly standing on that next wing. Right. So, he's like, just hang on, be obedient. Dad preached and instilled that, Isaiah 1:19-20, if you're willing and obedient. And Danny, that's where you are. That's why you're seeing what you're seeing and what you're doing. And why I'm believing and praying for you. I know you've got a big need that you and Shelly are praying for right now. And I'm believing it's going to happen, because the second part of that scripture, if you're willing and obedient, you'll eat from the best of the land. Well, the best of the land isn't motel rooms for you right now. There's something better. And listen, I'm tapping into my good old Church of God roots, and I'm not prophet-lying. I'm prophesying right now. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. This Church of God boy saying it, Danny.
We believe in God's timing. It will, and it's got to be His will and His timing. And so, even if we, for a year and a half now, we've been praying that God will give us some way to make this where we can keep going, because there's so much work to do, Rob, and very little time to do it.
Right.
And I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to sing. My daughter Dana, she's already told me several times. She said, Dad, I know what we ought to do. Wherever you're at singing and you keel over, we're going to have to come pick you up, and you'll probably be in a church platform somewhere. Maybe it's because I'm just too dumb to do anything else.
That was JD. JD said they would carry him from the last platform back to Nashville in the bin of the bus,
Just pack me in there.
Yeah, just throw me in there, throw the product on top of me, and get me back home.
Well, I was at Charleston Hess. I said, "You'll never pry this gun from my hand." Had to be my microphone.
Exactly.
Maybe they'll put one in there with me, and I can hold on to it. I don't know. I never thought I would be singing. And this is there's a comical side to all this, because I got kicked out of Glee Club. Because I joined Glee Club because I thought it was just a way to get out of class and not have to do anything hard. And so Miss Myra Helms, who was the Glee Club teacher back then, she realized that, Danny, you don't want to be in here, do you? And I said, yeah. She said, well, why are you in here? I said, I don't know. It just keeps me from having to go to another, like math or English or something hard. I was just joking around, but she said, no, I think you're wasting my time. And so I did. I got dismissed from Glee Club. And then, of course, as the years go by, I started singing some with Singing Americas. Then I went with George and Glenn with the Cathedrals.
Right.
And then we were in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, at Reynolds Auditorium. Right. And I was standing at the table, and I had my back to the foyer. Okay. I was looking at the table and everything we had there, and, just kind of maybe arranging things or doing something. Anyway, I got kicked, and it was pretty hard. And I turned around, and I thought it was going to be some old dude, that I've known for down through the years and all. Maybe I was in school with something, but it was Miss Myra Helms. She was standing there, and I said, you got a pretty good kick there. And she looked at me. She said, I cannot believe you cut up in my class like you did. She said, and I let you go, and I dismissed you from my class, and doggone it, I could have took credit for this.
Man, I love that. When you were saying that a while ago, I was thinking Michael Jordan was kicked off the junior high or he didn't make the junior high basketball team. And I bet somebody felt really crazy later in life. I was going to say, I sure hope she had a subscription to the Singing News, but better yet, she walks in, you mentioned RJ Reynolds. When we played there several times. The first time that we rolled in there, a neat thing and a funny thing from that first night. When my dad grew up in north of there in Virginia, and no gospel groups came through there, so he would have to go, as their family would go, to RJ Reynolds Auditorium, and he struck up a deal with the promoter, and the promoter let him set in the orchestra pit. He had a Wollensack reel-to-reel recorder. And Dad would record all of those concerts, at which, Danny, I have all those reel-to-reels.
Are you serious?
I have them.
Oh,
there's one we put it on. Dad and I put it on maybe 5 years before he passed, and the Statesman finished. And then you heard the promoter say, "Would you make welcome to the stage for their second performance ever, the Oak Ridge Boys?" Or the Oak Ridge Quartet. But he would take those tapes back to Virginia, and that's how he learned how to play gospel piano. So when the first time we got there, we came in through the back, and the first thing I had to do was walk up there and look down there and realize, had it not been for that, I would never have been standing there that night. And then the second funny thing,
right?
The bishops were there that night, and we pull in, and the way we live, Danny, 7 guys, 5 different states. So we were driving and meeting the bus everywhere. So we're sitting there. Mark Bishop is on their bus, and we pull in 5 cars, and you come driving up in the bus all by yourself. And every time I see Mark Bishop, he reminds me of he said the weirdest thing he ever saw
Yeah.
was, and I'm like, well, it was our first night out. So,
Yeah.
we would do that so we could get home half a day earlier
Right.
and move cars all night long, halfway across 2-3 hours and drop them off
I
somewhere.
know. Yeah,
But,
exactly. I mean, it
but
was unbelievable.
that's so
The way
neat that
they do it.
she showed up at a concert and got to see that. That's awesome. Hey, let me ask you this. I'm keeping an eye on the clock here because I don't want to keep you real long. But so one thing, and I'm going to share what you told me, and you told me it came down from Glenn. So you became, through those years, you were definitely a mentor and a teacher to me. You were driving one night, I was sitting
Yeah.
beside you there, and you told me something, and I've remembered this and I've applied it and shared it. You said, "Hey, Robin, let me tell you something Glenn told me." He said, "You're starting into this, and don't forget who you see on the way up the ladder, because you're going to see him on the way down the ladder."
Wow.
And man, that stuck with me. What is something that
So true.
you could leave with these listeners that as big as that impacted me? What's something you could leave with them? Either, be it Charlie Burke, be it
Yeah.
Ed Hill, be it George, be it Glenn, all of your stops. I was gonna say Mike Presnell, but if he's listening, he'll get a kick out of that. No, Mike has to be the most underrated bass singer ever to take the
Oh, definitely. Now, him and Pop, they got along pretty good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Daddy thought that Mike's the craziest man I ever met. But
So
he loved him.
what's something that either you've picked up along the way, or you've been around a lot of influential pastors, from Dr. Stanley to Adrian Rogers, to what's something, and I know I'm putting you on the spot, but what's something you could share with the listeners?
I think the word that comes to my mind is respect. No matter if you don't see eye to eye, you may not think on the same level, you should still respect one another.
Wow.
And respect their thoughts and their ideas. Because I'm far from perfect, and people need to realize that some people look at things differently, they feel it differently, they realize that there's and you try to lead them in that direction, to where if you can show them respect, then hopefully they'll respect the other people around them too, because we're just God's children, and we're all born into sin, so none of us is perfect. So just try to respect and appreciate the opportunity and the life that God has given us. And the saying goes, He's going to be the judge,
Right.
not us.
Right.
And so I can't judge. My goodness, if judgment fell on Danny Funderburk today, I probably wouldn't be around. And so I know the good thing that people just need to learn is respect. And my wife taught me a lot of that.
Right.
Is how to respect. And sometimes people may call you a friend, but they may not be your friend.
Right.
So you have to be aware of that too.
Sure.
But try not to disrespect anyone. That way, hopefully, and I'm not saying I'm better, but hopefully they will see and become more of a person that shows more humility, more understanding. And I've seen that lead more people to Christ than anything else. It's just trying to understand and just be respectful. And you can respectfully disagree.
Absolutely.
And
well,
so
it's the old saying, when you're pointing one finger, there's three in your palm pointing back.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, who's going to pick up the first stone and cast it at the end of the day?
Exactly.
When I joined Perfect Heart, my dad said, "I got a gift for you," and Dad was a teacher. Everything was a lesson with Dad, and he gave me this box, and I was so excited. I'm like, man, it's a new tie, it's a new dress shirt, it's something I can use. I don't know, it was a book. I'm like, why'd you buy me a book? And the book was How to Win Friends and Influence People. Right. And he said, Rob, you're stepping into leadership, and you need to know as you're stepping out into this ministry with these great guys, you need to understand, if you want respect, you got to be respectful. If you want friends, you've got to be friendly. And that, I read that book. It took me a while. I'm not a good reader, but I laid in my bunk and read that book for the first year, Danny. And then I found it on tape, and I got so mad. I'm like, I could have just listened to this on my commute to the bus. But you're so right. And man, I appreciate you saying that. I want to close with this. And I really wish, we're doing this here in June. I wish we'd done this a month ago, because voting's officially closed. But
yeah,
and I don't know, and maybe it's better, Danny. I'm an SGMA board member, so maybe it's better that this is after the fact, so it didn't look I was trying to sway any vote. I will say this: I'll make it publicly known that you were my first name that I cast on my ballot for the Hall of Fame for the 2023 induction class, and no one's more deserving.
Wow.
It's time. It's time. You need to be there. And I know the buzz that I was seeing on social media. I'm just hoping and praying that Tuesday of NQC week, we get to see you walk across that stage, because I know you, and I've traveled with you, and the award doesn't mean anything to you, but the platform that it gives you to share the gospel is
Thank you.
That's Danny Funderburk. That's your heart. But listen, this little Yankee bass player that stood behind you for all those years,
I loved every bit of it too, buddy.
Listen, he says it's time and that you deserve it. So when you hear somebody obnoxiously screaming from the back of that room, you'll know who it is. You'll hear my little Yankee accent screaming, and but no, I'll
say that's Rob.
That's him. That's him.
Yeah, thank you, Rob.
But man, listen, that would be so exciting, because again, it goes back, Danny, to Isaiah 1:19 and 20. You're willing and faithful and obedient, and so I think we give honor where honor's due, and so I would love to see that happen, and if it's not this year, Danny, it's gonna happen. It's gonna.
Yeah, we just pray to God to keep me alive another year.
There you go. You know what? There's the blessing in disguise, right? That just means we all get to keep you around longer. But listen,
and you know what, Rob? The thing of it is, I didn't go into the new year thinking, boy, I hope I can win some awards.
Right.
No, I went into the new year saying, okay, God, you open up the doors, and Shelly and I will go wherever you lead us. And like I said, we've seen great, more great services than anything. I never dreamed that I would see how people now, especially in the last few weeks, I don't know if you've noticed, maybe in the last couple of months, the church seems to be coming alive again. It's like the church is waking up,
right.
Because with everything else, it just kind of just destroyed the church almost. And
right.
So I'm seeing people saying, you know what, it's time to have church. And so we're excited. Every week we just wait and see what God's going to do next, and then the devil will try to throw a wrench in everything, try to discourage us, but no, when God's in it, you can't fail.
Oh no, absolutely.
You can't give up. You
can't. Absolutely. All right, Danny, that's the heart. That's the Danny that I was so excited to talk to. Thank you for taking some time out to be part of our podcast. Excited about, again, having you with us about 6 weeks from now at CNS.
Oh, yeah.
CNS 23 in Murray. We love you. Tell Shelly hello that we love her. And I always close these out. Listen, Danny's giving you some things to really think about and plant in your heart and into your life, your music, and your ministry. And I promise you, when you do that, it will make today become your best day yet. Danny, I love you. We'll talk soon, okay?
Love you too, Rob. God bless you, buddy.
All right. Thanks for listening to the Charles Novell School of Music podcast, The Best Day Yet. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under the name the Charles Novell School of Music. And for more information on CNS and our upcoming events, like our online school, our weekend regional sessions, our creative coaching, and our pastor's retreat, you can visit us at our website at www.cnsmusic.com. As you've listened to this episode, we hope that you've gained some information that you can apply to your music and to your ministry to make today the best day yet.